If you've ever considered what it looks like to be intentional about the life you're building and the man you're ultimately becoming, then you're listening to the right episode, because we've got John Szarszewski back on the podcast as the first two-time guest. He's an entrepreneur, a family man, a child of God, and in my opinion, just obsessed with the pursuit of reaching his God-given potential. You're listening to the Take a Step podcast, where we help faith-driven young men embrace the process and take action on their personal growth. My name's Josh Johnston. Let's take a step. Before we jump into the conversation, I want to give a big shout out to Woodcraft South for sponsoring Take a Step. If there's someone in life that you want to leave an impression on, so if you're in entrepreneurship or sales and you want to impress a top client with a logo engraved gift, or if you want to send a sentimental gift to a spouse, like a custom charcuterie board or cutting board, Woodcraft South designs custom woodwork that just captivates your attention. And not only do they deliver amazing work, but it's a brand that's so easy to get behind because Turner Lee, who's the owner, fully embodies the take a step mentality. He spent so long just working behind a desk and building this unfulfilling life. So he started this passion project in woodworking. And a couple years ago, he decided to take the risk and turn this part-time passion into a full-time business that continues to grow to this day. So if there's anyone you want to leave a lasting impression on, or if you just want a custom decor piece to elevate your workspace, you got to check out Woodcraft South. The link to their Instagram will be in the show notes below. Check them out, ask for Turner, and let him know you heard about him from Take a Step. Let's get right into the episode. John Szarszewski, welcome back to the Take a Step podcast. You are officially the first two-time guest on the Take a Step podcast. How does it feel?
It's an honor, brother. Thinking back, I mean, it's been a heck of a year. You know, Murph is coming up, and that's the first day I met you. So Memorial Day will be 1 year since we were introduced. And I know you've been building a lot. You've been hustling, and same over here. So it's good to connect.
Yeah. I mean, when you connect for the first time over a Murph, it's going to be a good relationship.
That's the guys I want to surround myself with.
For sure. Well, I know on the first podcast, we were just kind of getting to know each other, and we were just kind of bouncing ideas and mindsets and really just like perspectives on life back and forth. But I think this one, we can get a lot more practical with the conversation. So I want to jump right in, and to do that, I want to go back to something you said on the first podcast that really hit me, and it's something that I take and use literally almost every day, because you said the phrase, "The way you do one thing is the way you do everything." And I remember you were talking about going all in. You know, you were kind of at this phase where you were recognizing that there were certain areas in your life where you were just kind of dabbling. You weren't going all in, and you were talking about the 4 F's of faith, family, fitness, and finance. And I want to hear you dive a little bit deeper into that on, what it actually means to you and going all in. Because for me, in everything I talk about through Take a Step, it's like if I take a step in my faith and I actually decide to go all in and take that step and pursue that with full intentionality, I know that's going to translate over into how I take a step in any other area. So I want to hear you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned faith, because ultimately, like, if you're going to find your calling in God's purpose, and like, we're all searching for our purpose in life. And when you dive into your faith through faith in God and then also faith in yourself, he's going to show that to you. He's going to unlock that. And when you get that calling, like, you got to go all in. I mean, if that's God's plan for you and your purpose in life, like, you can't just dip your feet in it. Like, you got to dive all the way in. If you look at the word calling and you take off the C and the G, smack dab in the middle is the word all in. Like, when you get it, you got to go. So that was the first thing, was really just diving into my faith, unpacking some stuff and realizing God's too big to be put into a box. And he made me for a reason. So these dreams he's put on my heart, like, you got to step up and step into it. And that transpired, focusing on those 4 F's, the daily disciplines every single day of moving the needle forward in your faith, your family, your fitness, and your finance. Like, we all want to be the well-rounded man. Like, we want to make good money. Great. But if you don't have your house in order, like, it's going to be empty. If you're working yourself to an early grave because you're not taking care of your body, like, what good is that? So ultimately, like, diving all in on those 4 F's, and it's the daily touch points in each area. Now, I will say every quarter I try to pick like a major. So like this quarter, Q1, I'm majoring in finance. So that being said, fitness is how that's been my backbone. Like I've always been a great athlete. I've been in the gym industry now for 12 years. So that's always been like the one I could fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the one I've kind of been pushing to the wayside. So I picked my daily discipline of 100 push-ups a day. And that was supposed to be like the bare minimum. And it quickly turned into like the only thing I was doing in the fitness realm. And it all came to a head 2 days ago. Because I wasn't getting that outlet and I wasn't getting that good stress relief and I wasn't like maintaining a level of fitness that I'm proud of, I wasn't managing my stress appropriately. So my wife, inevitably she's home with the kids. We got 3 little ones, so they're running her ragged. And she just wanted me to hold some space for her and just kind of, complain about what's going on in the family and the kids are crazy. And I literally, because I haven't been managing my stress, I didn't have the space for her. Like my face was just, ugh. And I'm just like, all right, go ahead, let me hear it. But like I couldn't be fully present because I haven't been taking care of myself. So that started a little tiffle between me and the wife, which is never good. But it was a
Mm-hmm.
great chance that night when I reflected on it. I'm like, I'm not handling myself properly with my fitness realm. I got to get back into it and get that daily touch point a little bit harder than just 100 push-ups. So ultimately, you'll be like your program's going to be exposed if you're not moving forward in all 4 domains.
Yeah.
And it has to be a steady growth in all areas. Although I'm majoring in the finance realm, like I still got to get that good workout in at least a couple of days a week so I can manage my stress appropriately and ultimately show up for my family and my businesses as the man I need to be.
Yeah. And for me, I hear it and all I think about is just like the mental side of it. It's like training the mental muscle of because what I love about the statement is it's not the results you get in one area are going to be the same results in another area, or it's not what you see as an outcome from performing a certain task is going to be the same outcome in every other task, but it's the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And for me, like that's where the mental side of it comes into play. It's like if I can have the same mentality around the actions I'm taking when it comes to having the daily discipline of opening up my Bible at the same time every morning, or when it comes to my nutrition plan, when it comes to what, being intentional about my workouts and not just, drifting through the week, trying to fit it in when it makes sense, or when it comes to, finances, are you saving on a percentage basis? Is that predetermined, or are you just trying to, save the leftovers? Like everything you do, if you have an intentional approach, it's the mindset around it, because it's the way I'm doing it is going to have the ripple effect into every other area. I love training the mental muscle of just performing actions in the same way, because you can take that way and apply it into every phase of life.
For sure. And that's also how you build confidence in yourself to step out and do hard things. Because if you have your meal prep and you take it for lunch, that that's what you should be doing. But then when you lie to yourself and you're like, Chipotle sounds really good right now. You know what? Let's go and do that instead. Nobody else knows that, but you do, and you're letting yourself down. And within those reps, like a failed rep starts to diminish the confidence on the flip side. So like if you can step in and follow that plan where you're sticking to the budget, you're opening your Bible, you're getting the workout in, you're dating your wife, that builds the confidence to then go and make some pretty bold and big decisions in your business. On the flip side, if you put that date night on the calendar and then you let it go by the wayside, it was supposed to be a surprise for your wife, so she doesn't know. Nobody else knows that, but you do. And all of a sudden that confidence in yourself starts to diminish. And I was feeling that in the fitness realm. So I'm back. The last 2 days have been hitting it hard. I'm sore and it feels good though.
Yeah, love it. Well, speaking of the finance side of things, I know from a professional standpoint, there's a lot you're doing right now. When it comes to the gym, if you didn't listen to the last episode with John, he's the owner of a Few Fitness out in Woodstock, Georgia. doing a lot with, I know there's an app you're developing on the faith side of things. I know you're kind of dipping your toes into the life insurance space. I know also you're getting involved with FCA as well. So I know there's a lot that you're kind of dipping your toes in. Tell me, what's the approach behind everything you're doing?
Yeah, it's probably, if you listen to like Alex Ramosi, he's like, find one thing that you can do and you keep doing it till it's making you $1,000,000. And then you can start to pivot and you can start to find other things. I'm not going that approach. So I'm actually trying, maybe he's a smart guy, I should probably listen, but ultimately, everything I'm doing is kind of aligned in my mission, in my purpose. So a lot of these things do intersect, which is nice. I realized for years with my gym, I essentially bought myself a job and I was the worst boss to work for. I opened this gym, it's mine, but man, I was a slave to myself. I was in that place all the time. I didn't know how to lead a team. So when I started to reflect on that, started to invest in some, personal development, getting into a container of like-minded guys that have been there and walked in those steps who could pour into me, I started to realize like I'm just my own, like I'm my own boss and that's it. Like this sucks. I get no vacation. I'm in there 350 days a year. I got to fix this. Like I was not living the life that I wanted to step out and live. So first step was, creating a platform where I could lead a team. Got some incredible people around me. I poured into them and invested in them, and now they're running the gym. So that's freed up my time. One thing I know how to do is work. So when I freed up, 20, 25 hours a week, I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? There's a little bit of anxiety built up. But that was spending some quiet time, time in prayer, like, God, where do you need me? Open the right doors and let's step into them. And that's where the True Faith Journal spawned. The whole concept of AI and where I see that's going, it's beautiful. However, it scared me a little bit. And I realized I want to get the Bible forefront AI. Like I want that in there, like some eternal truth into this supercomputer. And then also through all the journaling practices I was doing, I realized like for myself, it really helped move the needle forward just to offload my thoughts at night onto paper. So we spawned the True Faith Journal. It's a Bible-based journaling app where you can go out there and just type out how you're feeling, and then instantly it spits you with scripture relevant to what the themes it kind of pulls from your journal entry. It's incredible. So launched that. That's been a fun project, kind of bigger than I ever thought I could be, getting into the app development space. But it's fun and it's a new challenge every day. And ultimately having a good team around me that knows this, that believes in the mission, that's ultimately like my job is to lead them.
Yeah.
As far as
I want to talk about the app specifically for a second, just because it seems like you're combining two extremely powerful resources. One is just the power in journaling, like having the consistency in journaling and getting your thoughts out there every day. But then also combining that with the power that AI presents in providing immediate feedback that is like wisdom specific to what you're talking about with scripture, with anything that you would go to a mentor in the church about, that to seek guidance. Like, you're getting immediate feedback that is backed with scripture, that is backed with just what AI is able to do with just generating information and pulling from all of these different data sources. So how did you think about, like, where did that idea come from?
part of it, like I said, like in my own journey, I always had a strong belief in God, but didn't have the belief in self. And it wasn't until I started to like put my pen to paper and start to recognize like who am I, that I started to develop that belief in myself. And I wanted to combine those two things. And ultimately, when you're around a group of people, your buddies, like you can go turn to them with your problems and you can share how you're feeling. And for the most part, everybody's just going to pump you up like, oh, you're the man, you got this.
Yeah.
There's so much power in God's word. Like he literally says, like, my word is a sword. Like that's what we need to use to combat bad thoughts and the evil. And there's so much power in that. So that's kind of where the idea spawned. What I've seen happen with it, man, like anybody I've ever presented it to, I'll have them just open my phone, like, hey, type out how you're feeling real quick. And I'll see the biggest guys in the gym literally have a tear roll down their cheek when they read the verse, because it's like, man, that just pierced my heart. That spoke to me right now. And yeah, it's been pretty cool. We've added a couple new features to it. There's a new TFJ and Pray, where you can go on there now. You can type out your friend's name. You can do like some bullet points. It's like things you want to pray for them for. And then it'll text your friend that prayer. And
Wow.
it's pretty cool. I think that's going to go viral, where it's just like, I imagine a world where people are just like, every morning they're waking up, Josh is on my heart this morning, I'm going to send him a quick prayer. And I just type it up, and then you get a text, your buddy John is praying for you, click to see it, and then you get to read this prayer. Like, how cool of a community and a world can we build if we start praying for each other, believing in each other, and also just checking in ourselves and then knowing God's truth.
Yeah. And not like that's genius from both the perspective on like having the impact, but then if you turn it around and look at it from a business perspective, like the marketing side of it is like, all right, like not only are they receiving, like seeing that someone's praying for them, but then they're also getting access to the Truth Faith Journal as well. And they're seeing it for the first time and saying, hey, if they're doing this, let me check it out. And then that leads that, every person that gets impacted by that has their own network of people as well. So yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Can't take credit for it. David Daniel, he's a buddy of mine in my container. And he had the thought, he's like, oh, it'd be cool to be able to send a prayer for somebody, because he's been using the app daily. He's loving it.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, you know what? We can make that happen. I've got a buddy in the AI realm, and he can build you whatever you want. So within 10 minutes of that idea, running it to him, it's literally a prototype on the app, like ready to go. It's pretty cool to be around people that can just collapse your time and like get your dream to reality.
Yeah. I think, if you're talking about Hudson, I've had him on the podcast
Oh, yeah.
as well.
That's my guy.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. So when we were talking about it, when you were originally putting it out, you had, I want to hear, refresh my memory on what the mission behind the app is. Cause it was a pretty powerful mission, if I remember right.
Yeah. So there's two parts to it. We want to inspire people in their faith journey, and they're going to do that through the daily reflection, and getting, verses that speak to them. And in hopes, when you read a couple of these verses and it's speaking right to your heart, my goal is then you open your Bible to be like, okay, this was one verse. Let me read this chapter. Like, let me start to get some context. So the goal is to inspire people in their faith journey, but then ultimately we want to empower the local church. So through the efforts, we're going to try to create a bunch of church affiliates, and we'll connect with churches. We'll then tithe 20% back of all the membership base from that church right back to them. So you start to get a congregation of people that are stepping out in purpose, knowing who they are, why they're here, and they want to make a difference. We're also then we're getting money back to the church, so they have the resources to then take this group of people that are like hungry, ready to make a difference, and they've got the resources to go out there and make an impact in their local communities. So
Very cool.
Two parts, yeah, inspiring people in their faith journey, and then empowering the local church. And I think we can make a dent.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like you're kind of at the forefront of what could be a movement in the church over the course of the next few decades. Cool. So you got talked about the gym, True Faith Journal. I know you're recently starting to take a step into the life insurance space. How'd that come about?
Once again, it's not something, I don't want to be the guy that's, making a bunch of calls every day.
Yeah.
However, I love leadership, and I love inspiring a team and getting some young, hungry guys. Like, if I can get them together and have them live for a deeper purpose, get them to follow these practices of like, all right, let's wake up, let's get a workout together. Let's send a text to our wife. Let's send a text to a friend, and then let's get in the office and like, let's make some money. Let's make a difference. So ultimately, that's the goal with this one, is to grow a team that's hungry, that wants to live for a bigger purpose. And selfishly, I've always been in industries where I sell you a product and then I have to service that product forever. In the coaching space, somebody comes into the gym, sure, we sell them a membership, but then I got to keep their business day in and day out and day in and day out. The impact is there, and I love the impact we're making, but it can be an exhausting model. Life insurance, like, I can help you, I can set your family up for success, but it's also, I sell you a product, you'll get a couple emails from me, but for the most part, like there's no servicing on it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to buy back some of my time in that realm will be pretty nice as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
But ultimately, I do want to see people take care of their families. It's been close to my heart with one of our coaches. His father passed unexpectedly, and I've seen what that did to the family. And recognizing like you can get a term life policy for pretty cheap, and what that can do, because we're not promised tomorrow. So I mean, ultimately, my buddy Josh Lanford, he'd be like, "Oh, God's my insurance." I agree wholeheartedly, but if you love your wife, you love your kids, like you want to set them up, and you're not always promised tomorrow. So being able to give them that peace of mind is nice.
Yeah. It's the one thing in this world we're not guaranteed is time.
That's it.
So just like, what is that? I think that statement alone, I heard that statement a couple of years ago, and like that really causes you to sit back and reflect on, all right, well, like if that's the case, like how am I living today? You know, how am I setting myself up today? How am I setting my family up today? How am I, if I'm not guaranteed tomorrow and I actually believe that, what would I do different today?
That's big.
Yeah.
And we're all Superman. You know what I mean? Like we all create this plan to live to 80 or 90. We all think we're going to see the grandkids and all this, but we're not promised that. So I love that. Yeah, intentional with everything you do every single day. And those, like how I kiss my wife when I'm leaving for work.
Yep.
It has a different sting if I know I might not make it home. And we're not in a time of war zone. I mean, we live in the best country in the world, and like things are pretty cushiony here. So it's easy to lose sight of that. Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, we live in a comfortable society.
It's too comfortable.
Have you ever read the Comfort Crisis?
I have, man. I quote that book way too much.
Yeah. I think that concept that relates. So it's very on message with what I'm building through Take a Step, but it's, that we so many people fall into the trap of choosing comfort now, not realizing that it's just going to lead to more discomfort down the road, but making the choice to willingly put yourself in uncomfortable situations will lead to more comfort long term. So it's choosing it all like when I hear that, all I hear is a debate of instant gratification versus delayed gratification.
For sure. And that's why I love like the fitness community. Like I get to see 200 people a day that are coming in, and dude, they're stepping into an uncomfortable environment. We're putting them through intense challenge, but they come in ultimately for the side effects. They come in for the vanity reasons. And then I get to mentor them and be like, no, like you're stepping into this realm on a daily basis so you can show up fully for your family. You can show up and make better, decisions in your business because you're used to being with your back against the wall, out of breath, uncomfortable, and you're okay there. Like you can calm the storm within your mind like quickly. And yeah, that's what I've taken away from the fitness industry is getting comfortable being uncomfortable every single day.
Yeah, and I think fitness as a whole provides more metaphors to life than really anything else. Like you can paint a picture for anything you need or should be doing in any other area of life, and you can draw a metaphor from the fitness industry almost every single time. So yeah, I think fitness does that for a lot of people, and it like I was talking about earlier, it just kind of forms the mental muscle of choosing uncomfort. So yeah,
and then
I love that.
Society tries to counter that. I mean, they've got a pill for everything. Like don't work out. Instead, take this, you'll lose the weight. Take this, you'll grow the muscles. Sure, like that might happen, but that's not the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you gotta learn to do the reps.
Yeah.
And don't look for the shortcut. Like when you can just get comfortable doing the daily discipline and not looking for the shortcut, like we all want to make $1 million and have that cushion in the bank account that we can retire at a young age. Sure. But that only comes through the steady practice of learning to save a little bit when you're making a little bit. And then as that develops and the income starts coming in, the discipline's there to where you don't now just spend more. Like you can still stay within your means and you can start to grow much quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, people come to me all the time I've got a wedding. I got to lose 30 pounds in 2 months. Okay, let's reprogram your mindset. Let's learn to just fall in love with the process. It might be 4 months or 5 months, but you'll be more confident in that wedding dress the day of the wedding because you know you're doing the work, not just how you look. 100%.
Process over destination,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Or progress over destination. It's powerful every time. So with everything you're doing, like just with the gym, with life insurance space, with the app you're developing, I know freeing up some of your time has allowed you to spend some of that in the FCA space, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I know that's fulfilling a huge purpose in your life. So with everything you have going on right now, and entrepreneurs all face this at some point when they like you said, you kind of bought yourself a job because there's all of these responsibilities and you're just in build mode. How do you manage everything?
It's a lot
It's
of
loaded question.
work. Yeah. Honestly, it's putting yourself in the right framework, and I'm sure you can touch a lot on this, but getting the right tools around you to learn how to grow. Ultimately, every single week, it's scan, plan, expand, reprogram. Like that's the motto that I follow. So scan where I'm at, create the plan to get where I want to go. As you get there, you got to expand, because now, like, the problems I'm facing today are not the same problems I'm facing a year ago, because now I'm leading multiple teams. Now I'm handling more money. So ultimately I have to learn how to expand. And during that expansion process, you got to reprogram how to deal that. So every Sunday, like practically speaking, every Sunday I create a map for the week. So I write out what are my targets in the areas of faith, family, fitness, and finance. I figure out and get clear on what I want to do. The next step for me, for all my dads out there, for all my husbands, like, you got to get on page with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this, you're going to laugh at this one. We call it the G-spot talk. So hear me out. G-spot's an acronym. So the G's stand for gratitude, grievances, green, and goals. So we open up with, like, what am I thankful for in you? What have I seen you do this week? And it's just a chance to, like, soften the mood. I get to pour into my wife, and then vice versa. Like, she can tell me what she saw in me. So great start to the conversation. Then we go into grievances. So instead of, like, having this built up tension that I'm sure we've all been there, where a little fight or a little thing that you're nitpicking can then just sit there and fester and to build for months on end, and then it, like, comes out in a weird argument that makes no sense. I give my wife the space every week, like, hey, how did I mess up? Because I do it plenty. So she gets to tell me how I could do better, and then vice versa. So we'll go through grievances. We then talk about green. So what's our money looking like? What's coming in? What's coming out? Any big bills coming up? We'll look at the accounts together, and then we finish off with goals. So what are your goals for the week? We then go through SPOT, which is schedule, parenting, opportunities, and then togetherness is the SPOT. So we look at our schedules. At this point, I've mapped out, like, I know where my time's going to be spent. She'll share the same. We talk about parenting, like getting in line together, raising a couple feral children. Like, it's so good to have a plan into the week and what we want to focus on. So maybe it's table manners. Maybe it's, we got to fix our bedtime routine because it's just not working good. But, like, we'll get in the same page going into the week. Opportunities is just opportunities for growth. And then T is togetherness. With 3 little ones, with all the different businesses going on, like, time is very valuable. And because my marriage is so stable, it's easy to be like, okay, that'll be there forever. But if I'm not putting the intentional time into it, it can start to slip. And what I've noticed, if my marriage starts to slip, all these outside pressures start to get real heavy real quick. When this is tight, all this could be chaos. And I'm like, oh, I'm coming home and it's good. So we always make sure that we have intentional time together. It might be a date night. It might be Saturday morning. Let's wake up at 5:30 a.m. and have coffee together before the kids wake up. But it's still time that we get to connect. So getting very clear on what the week looks like is powerful. And then ultimately, every yes is a no to something else. So making sure that my time is best spent is very important. I used to be a yes man. I would say yes to every opportunity that came about. And now like I'm saying no to a lot because my yeses are the most valuable spot for me at that time. And then ultimately, what's been really good for me in our program, shout out to Nick Alfano, we go through something called R5, and we do this every single day. So every single night, I go through the 5 Rs. It's return, report, reflect, realign, and repeat. So just taking like 5 or 10 minutes to look back at the day, see how it went, realign if necessary, and then get out there and refocus and repeat is huge. Because a lot of times, if you're not reflecting on where you're at, like you could go days, weeks, months, or years, and you're not even in tune with like who you are or what you're living for. But when you start to get that daily touch point of like, why did the day burn? Why did like what went wrong today? And you have like 5 minutes to reflect on that, it's really powerful. And you'll start to realize some habits that aren't serving you, and then you can pivot and make the course correction much quicker than I think a lot of people do. A lot of people
Yeah.
will let things get really bad before they refocus, and having that daily touch point's powerful.
Yeah, it's having a system that keeps you consistent, that keeps everything top of mind. And so the weekly system or process that you use, is that something that you designed, or is that something that you get through the program you're a part of?
Yeah, that's a program thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what they're doing because Hudson's really stepping up in a big way within there. So they're starting to incorporate some AI into our mapping sessions. So like
Mm.
when you're mapping out like what are my targets for the week, you can then spit that to AI and it can start to give you like a breakdown of where you should be putting your attention
Oh, that's
each
cool.
day. Yeah, so I believe in these guys. I'm excited to see what they're doing. But yeah, I can't take credit for any of this.
No, yeah. So I asked because we have a, the company I work for full time, the 1% Club is, another coaching practice. And we have what we call a weekly coach, which is very similar. It's kind of a process where every week you kind of take a step back. I do mine on Sunday evenings. It's, where you kind of look at, grade yourself in specific categories, both personally and professionally. So you're kind of giving an honest check-in on where you're at. Then, a debrief, what went well, what didn't go well, where can I make my improvements? And then from there, establishing based on my goals that I set that are in line with this full system that we build out, what are my top 3 needle movers for this upcoming week? When are they going to be accomplished? How much time are they going to take? And let's go ahead and put those in the calendar. And all this is, and all of it sounds like overkill, but it's having some sort of consistent process that keeps you intentional on what you set out to accomplish in the first place. Because so many people, what we have a resource we use called the 4 Horsemen of Mediocrity, otherwise known as the 4 Ds, and it's distraction, dispersion, drift, and delay.
Oof.
And drift for me is the most powerful because I think so many people that are ambitious, like guys like you and me that have goals. They love setting goals. They love growth. They'll set these goals, but there's nothing that keeps them on track. They think that they're going to set a goal and just rely on hard work to get there. Well, what if you take one step in the wrong direction at the beginning and then allow that 1% off course to continue over time, and you don't have anything to like bring you back on track? Well, then you'll wake up if you set a goal for this year, you'll wake up in July and realize, oh crap, how did I get so far off course to where now I got to completely change what I've been doing? It's because you didn't have anything that kept you on track. And I think that's what systems like this, just having a weekly process that brings everything back top of mind, is so powerful for. And like there's the analogy of if a plane takes off from LA and is going to New York and it starts 1% off course to the south, it's going to land right around Washington, D.C. if it doesn't get back on course. The same principle applies. It's like, how are we, because the plane will get off course at some point, but it course corrects because of the technology and the skills of the pilots and air traffic control and everything like that. But that air traffic control and the skill of the pilot to us and our goals is having some sort of process that keeps us consistent.
I love all those analogies. Think about what our country does really well in. Our military is top notch. And what are they doing after every single mission? Like these guys are doing a debrief. They're
Yeah.
going through the ins and outs. That's why all these top level military guys are coming out and they're leading businesses. And it's easy for them because all they're doing is the same tactics where they are taking the time to debrief, to reflect, realign, get back on gear, back on track. And the word drift, man, that word you said that, Outwitting the Devil has been one of the most powerful books. That's a must read, actually a must listen. You got to get the audio version, but the whole premise behind that book
What's it
is
called?
Outwitting the Devil. So the whole premise is the devil gets us into this drift mindset, this drift mentality where we have no clear direction or purpose on life. And once you're drifting, he's got you. You're no longer
Mm.
stepping out in purpose. We're looking for comfort. We're chasing the dopamine through sex, scrolling, sugar, whatever. You're getting yourself unhealthy, and you're numb. And when we're in that mindset, we're not effective. We're not stepping on purpose. Like, yeah, you're ineffective. And then he's got
Yeah.
you.
So true. So true. Um, so kind of getting us back to like what you're doing, how you're managing everything. Whenever you step out to try to do something for the first time again, like whenever you decided you were going to start pursuing the True Faith Journal, when you decided you were going to step into the life insurance space, when you bought the gym for the first time, like every single one of these steps had a certain amount of risk associated with it, right? Like, and that's so true for anything you're doing that's uncomfortable. Getting back to the conversation of comfort, there's every action we take that is going to change our lives in some way, that we hope will change our lives in some way, has some sort of risk associated with it. So like, how do you view risk when setting out on a new opportunity?
Yeah. Probably the most important thing is to get yourself in a position to take on risk. So getting your health in order,
Mm.
getting your financial floor in order. Like, the only reason I'm stepping out into the True Faith Journal, stepping out into life insurance, having the time and ability to like go pour into young student athletes through FCA, the only reason I'm able to do those is because I've gotten the gym to a position where it's making money, it's running smoothly, it's got a great team in place, we built a strong community, and that took a lot of work to get there.
Mm.
But now that I'm in this position, I can make some calculated risk, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's an opportunity cost to everything. So what's the cost if I do it? What's the cost if I don't? And with a lot of these, like stepping out, the True Faith Journal, part of it too is who you surround yourself with. I mean, I'm not even going to tell you what it's actually cost to get this thing to market in the App Store on iOS and Google. Like, yeah, I've got some cool guys in my corner that like believed in the mission and volunteered a little bit of their time. It didn't happen as quickly as I would have liked, simply because it was a side project at first until now it's becoming pretty mainstream. Um, but yeah, that one didn't have a lot of downside. So I'll say that one was a win. The insurance realm, once again, like I'm trying to take calculated risks. So we're creating an office space right next to the gym. So it'll serve in two capacities. Like it'll serve for the gym business, for some client check-ins and whatnot. But then too, like, yeah, we'll start hitting the phones and if that grows, like I see it growing, it'll kind of take over that space and morph into something bigger. But I try to keep myself in a position where I'm not taking on more than I can handle. I make sure that I'm like scheduling and planning accordingly. And yeah, it really comes down to what's it going to cost me if I don't do this versus the
Mm.
cost if I do.
You're gonna like this. I like my career has been built in the world of sales, and usually, like every time you sell something, like a client, whether if it's business to consumer, business to business, they're always gonna want to see an ROI on their dollars, right? So when you hear ROI, what do you think about?
Yeah, return on investment. Like if I give you $100, what are you going to give me back?
Yeah. So I heard this, and I use this all the time now. ROI stands for result of an action.
Ooh,
So like everybody has this mindset of like, am I going to get my money back? Am I going to get my money back? Am I going to, all right, well, you're approaching it from the wrong perspective, because all that does is you're trying to think of every reason why it won't work. That right there is a fixed mindset. You have limiting self-beliefs. But what happens if nothing changes? What happens if your results stay the same? What happens if you don't take action? Well, your life is going to stay the same, if not get worse, because everybody else is taking steps forward while you're staying the same. In turn, you are moving and you're digressing while everyone else is progressing. So like the whole concept of taking action, I think is so pivotal, and I love approaching the idea of ROI through that, and shaping it through the lens of, how can I get someone to view the necessity and the urgency to take action, in whatever it is you're either trying to sell or you're either trying to, provide value through. So I think, that's something that's shaped my perspective in the world of sales for sure.
Can you repeat that one more time? The ROI? I'm going to write that down.
Result of inaction.
All right. That one's sticking.
Yeah. And you said something too, when you were talking about the True Faith Journal is, it's who you surround yourself with. Like that's a concept for me, and really my mission behind why I'm building Take a Step is to bring together and build community around, young faith-driven men who want to take action on their personal and professional growth, because it's hard to come about these relationships and have this community in the natural world. So I want to curate an environment where that is the focus of why you're gathering together, to form a brotherhood around people who want to see you grow just as much as they want to grow. And it's why I'm, it's soon to be launched, but why I'm talking about launching the tribe down the road. And at the end of the day, whether or not you thrive is decided by your tribe.
I love that. You got to get that launched ASAP, man, because people need this.
Yeah.
And I will say, man, it can be lonely at the top. Like, as you're stepping out into this, you're taking on more than the average person. The average person can't understand it. They're like, why are you spending your time doing this?
Yep.
Let's go grab a beer after work. Let's just let your foot off the gas. And when you can surround yourself with a tribe of people that are like, no, I'm living for purpose. I'm living for more. Let's get out there and take some risk. Let's actually, learn from each other. I mean, essentially, when you put yourself into a container, you get a de facto board of advisors where you can bounce questions and ideas and thoughts and problems off each other, that people would pay a lot of money to have that kind of insight, because you're getting people from all different walks, all different businesses, but you get all those minds together. And if you're in the roofing industry or if you're in the gym industry, we're still probably coming across the same underlying problems. They might present themselves different, but they're the same problems. And when you're around people that have dealt with those things, all of a sudden, like, you're not making these $100,000 mistakes. You're not wasting your time trying something that's not going to work. You can learn from others, and you can grow much, much quicker and more steady. Like I always say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. You want to go far, get around a group of people and go together. Yeah. And ultimately, that's what the tribe's going to do. I'm super pumped for you.
Guys, we'll get back to the episode in just a second, but I've got to tell you all about some really exciting news for the future of Take a Step. I'll explain it like this. It took me so long to realize the value in surrounding yourself with the right people and the impact that can have on the person you want to become. So what we're doing through Take a Step is launching the tribe. The tribe is a community of like-minded, faith-driven young men who want to take action on their personal and professional growth. You'll be placed in a small group of like-minded guys who want to build real relationships and push one another to pursue their full potential. What you're going to get out of this group first is just a strong brotherhood of people who want to see you grow just as much as they want to grow. Think of this group as your own personal board of advisors who want to give advice and also celebrate the wins with you along the way. And because of this positive peer pressure, you'll see accelerated growth because it's not just you. You're surrounded with guys who see the value in not only investing in themselves, but also those around them. If this sounds like a group you know you'd want to be a part of, or at least would want to know about, using the link in the description, you can join the waitlist, and that's not a commitment. All it is saying that you want to be the first to know so that once it launches, you can get your spot secured. At the end of the day, you become who you surround yourself with. So who do you want to become, and how are you putting yourself around people that are going to get you to that point? Yeah, I'm excited about it. One more. I'm a huge quote guy. One of my favorite quotes when it comes to relationship and who you surround yourself with is by Andy Stanley. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
My parents told me that so much growing up, man. High school time, it's like, show me your friends. I'm going to show you your future. I'm like, I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
It's facts, because like, and the reason why we don't want to hear it when we're younger is usually because we're not surrounded with people that are going to put us in the direction of the life we want to end up living.
For sure. Our
But we're too
brains,
invested in the relationships, and we say, oh no, they're my true friends. They're authentic relationships. I had no idea what an authentic relationship was until after I turned 20, 21, 22 years old. And I was like, crap, there's a lot that I need to change.
dude, I turned down, I went to a different college. Like I got into University of Florida. I was going to go there and I turned down that opportunity because all my buddies didn't get in. They're all going to UCF. And I'm like, I want to be around this group that I'm going to be with forever.
Mm-hmm.
I can count on one hand who like I still stay in touch with today.
Yep.
Out of that group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. One thing I want to jump to, because I want to spend a little bit of time talking about getting around the right people, talking about having the growth mindset. We got a retreat we're doing this summer, spearheaded by you, and I am so fired up for it. Tell me a little bit. I know we're calling it the Refinery. I want to hear everything you're thinking about. What's the purpose behind it? I know we're getting guys together, breaking them down physically, diving deep into, who it is they want to become and how they can be taking action steps towards it right now. So tell me a little bit about your vision behind the Refinery.
Yeah, man. So there's so much power in getting a group of guys together, putting them through challenge and giving them the space just to unlock something within themselves. So ultimately the tagline for the Refinery, forged by faith, strengthened in fire, purpose unleashed. So when we can create guys that are faith driven, they know, like, they believe in God and they believe in themselves, we can put them into challenge because we're formed in the fire. I mean, when you jump into the pit and you start to embrace that challenge, like that's where the growth happens. But ultimately that's how you can unlock your purpose. So we'll be going through the Goggins challenge. Big fan of him. He's a nut, but like in a good way. And I've done this challenge before, but this time around, we're going to be very intentional in what we fill in between. So we're doing the 4x4x48. So we're running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So in a weekend, you're essentially almost doing 2 marathons. But now in between those runs, like as we're getting, our bodies are literally just physically breaking down in between, that's when we can start to have the breakthroughs. So having the small group sessions, having the guided meditations, having the workshops where we're talking about like, what are the daily practices you could do to level up? Where are you at currently? Like, what are the problems that you're facing? What is the trauma that you went through at 5 years old that you didn't even know that's still holding on and it's still weighing you down? What would it look like if you let that go and stepped into a deeper purpose? So we'll be pouring into these guys. I'm already praying for the event. I'm getting myself ready because, physically I got to get ready to lead that and to also lead from the side where I'm doing these runs. I got to get myself in shape. So selfishly, I'm excited for that part. But ultimately, I want to push men beyond their limits, breaking down the barriers and just really uncovering their God-given strength and then creating servant leaders. I mean, if we're called to love, like Jesus loved the church, he gave it all for the church without expecting anything in return. If we can create a strong group of guys that are out there wanting to love their families without any expectations, that want to make a difference in the community, not to get more recognition, but just because they actually care and they actually love and they want to step into those footsteps, like we can start to make a big impact in this world, one retreat at a time.
Yeah. And I know you've been through similar style of events of just, some sort of physical exhaustion mixed with the mental growth and the self-reflection. I've been through plenty of them as well. What do you take, like walking away from those events? Cause they're great in the moment. There's a lot of, emotional stimulation and thought provoking work that you do at these events, but what are the takeaways that you see following the events like this?
If you don't commit, you have this aha moment and then you do nothing with it. I mean, we're at a stage right now. There's so much information at our fingertips. A lot of us are just gluttonous for more knowledge, for more I call it word porn. Like, you're going to say something cool in this podcast and somebody's going to write it down in a notebook and they'll never look at it again.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, my goal from this is people have that aha moment. They uncover something within themselves, but then they band together with a group of guys that are going to hold them to it. And they have a framework where they can move forward and they can take this aha moment and then they can roll with it and they can start to make a purpose. Because I've seen it happen both ways. I've gone to events where people have strong breakthroughs, and then you check in on them a month down the road, and they're right back to where they were. They're right back in that pit because it feels comfortable. Like, you see what the other side looks like, but man, I'm comfortable just sitting here, status quo. Like, it's easy. And the guys that have made the improvements are the ones that say, okay, I'm going to take this. I've seen it now. How do I live it out? And the best way to do that is banding together with a group of guys.
Yeah. And I think the community component to it is so powerful. Not only from, like, cause I look at events like this and I see just the power in doing the self growth and the self reflection at a point where you are physically broken down. Like, it's easy to like have these strong goals and have this strong opinion about yourself, but when you know that you are at your wits end physically and you're already broken down, emotionally, it takes a lot for you to dive deep on the self-reflection when you're already just at your wits end physically. So, like, I think that channels so much deeper self-talk and self-thought versus just like, if I were to get into a room with a bunch of guys and I get asked questions like, who do you want to become? How are you living that life right now? Like, those are powerful questions. But when you are literally like struggling to get up and walk and you're getting asked those same questions, then it hits different. And I think creating that atmosphere around other guys that are obviously broken down as well, that's when the vulnerability starts.
So it's the 3-letter word that we all walk around with. It's the ego. Like, you can go into a retreat like this where everybody's suit and tie. We're all looking good. We're sitting down in a nice conference table. There's bagels and donuts, and you're asking these same questions. And yeah, you can talk a lot, but a lot of that's your ego talking. Like, that's not you on the subconscious level. That's like, man, I'm actually hurting inside. I might have it all together up here, but I can present myself right. I know how to say the right things. When you center a challenge like this around the physical component, where all of a sudden you're exposed, like, nobody's gonna excel in this challenge where it's like not gonna hurt. Goggins would be hurting during this challenge. Like, it's inevitable. We're not going to get you to a point of breaking. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's going to be, there is some rest built in, and like, there's some good stuff for everybody. However, as that ego starts to just chip away, now all of a sudden, like, you can be real. And that's one thing we do at my gym. We do a men's group every Wednesday night. And it's so cool to have a men's group in a fitness center because people are used to like going there and having their ego exposed. So all of a sudden, like, nothing wrong with the church, but like a men's group at a church, you're presenting yourself in a certain light. Like, you're in church mode. So you want to talk the right talk and act like you got it all together. At the gym, man, people are being real. They're vulnerable, and the ego starts to strip away much quicker. And that's ultimately my goal in this challenge, is getting guys to just get real and real quick. And we can do that, 24 miles in. It's pretty quick to actually show your vulnerability.
Dude, I'm so excited for it. When you were first talking about it, I was getting giddy about it. What do you have a date set for it?
Yes, we are locked in the last weekend in June. So I believe it's June 27th. It'll be at 8 p.m. kickoff. Our church is going to host it, which is awesome. So right there,
nice.
Off 90, in Woodstock, off 92, First Baptist Woodstock. We're renting out their whole warehouse area. So if you want to step into this, get yourself an air mattress, pack a bag, and get ready. But yeah, June 27th, we'll have the website launch probably by next week. So Perfect. By the time this podcast records, we could probably attach that there. And
we'll get that in the show notes for sure. Because I can, like, the I can imagine I know the kind of guy that listens to this podcast, and I would imagine that there's a lot of people that would love to learn more about that. So we'll definitely get that in there.
We are limiting spots. There's only going to be 30 spots available. Want to keep it small enough and intimate enough to where we can really have those breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So first come, first serve. But yeah, it's going live this summer.
Let's go. Looking forward to it, man. Well, this has been, I've loved catching up with you always. Looking forward to everything we're going to do together in the future. But, one question I love to ask at the end of every podcast, I asked you the first time. But, question I love asking is, it's a subjective question. Everybody's going to have their own answer to it, which is why I love it. But, how can people who are just kind of going through the motions in life finally take that initial action of pursuing the life that actually brings them fulfillment and purpose? I don't know if you remember what you said the first time, but
I have no idea.
It was literally everything you talked about, and I loved it. Was like, how can you do that if you're not clear cut on what that life actually is?
Ooh.
Like that's step one is getting clear. Like we were talking about with the plane. If the plane's going from Los Angeles to New York, if it doesn't know where it's going, or it's unclear on the path to get there, then how are we going to know how to navigate the journey? So getting clear on what that life actually looks like. That's what you said the first time, and I loved it.
Okay, so I'll pull it back one more layer. You got to scan and get clear on where you're currently at. So not even where you want to go, but where are you taking off from? Like, you need to know, and you got to be like, once again, strip away the ego and being very real. Like, when you look in the mirror, how happy are you with how your body looks? If you open up the hood, like, how healthy are you internally? Is your marriage good? Is it great? Or is it thriving? And like being honest and vulnerable with that. What are your bank accounts look like? Like, a lot of times we want to just put our head in the sand and believe it does like, you need to look at these numbers and get very clear on where you're at. Once again, I'm gonna reference the book again, Outwitting the Devil. Read that book or listen to it and tell me if that doesn't like expose part of you. Because a lot of us are probably in that drift state. And when you hear it, it holds a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't, once again, you're not promised tomorrow. So like, live today a life you're proud of. And the whole word legacy really comes to mind. Stepping in, like, what is the legacy that you want to leave for your wife, for your kids, for your community? Like, what impact do you want to make on this world? And when you start to live for a deeper sense of purpose, not more, how much more can I consume, but how much more can you give? Like, start to focus on that, and it's going to give you a deeper sense of purpose.
Love it, man.
Last thing I'll say, the two most important days in every man's life, the day they were born and the day that they figure out why. So the day you're born and then the day you figure out why. Why were you put here on this earth? And for years, I was just trying to live the American dream. I was trying to start the business, find the wife, have the kids. And I didn't have the sense of purpose because it was all still surface level. And my daughter, my 7-year-old, she said it was the day that my head and my heart, God snapped the buckle. So he made that connection where I could actually feel Jesus in my heart. That's when I started to live, like, just to glorify him in everything I do. So I get to own these businesses and run this so I can make a bigger impact. But I've given him those businesses. I get to love my wife, but I've given him that love. Like, that love can now, that he's given me, can flow through to her. And the same, that love flows through to my kids. So I think a lot of it is really determining, like, why are you here? And then step out and have the faith and the confidence in yourself, and then ultimately God, that you're the man to step in and do it.
It's the best way to cap off this podcast. Obviously, like, summing up the why and knowing that, we aren't, in everything we're working towards, we aren't the owners of. We're managers. We are to be good stewards of what God has entrusted to us. And yeah, like, I think you embody that fully, and I appreciate that. I'm very happy you summed it up with that. Man, there's obviously a lot you're doing. Where, if someone wants to follow along with what you're doing, where can people find you at?
Yeah, Instagram's the best. So at John_Szars, SZARS. So take a look there. You can follow the gym for some cool fitness stuff. And then the refinery, that Instagram handle will be made and that'll be promoted. And then obviously True Faith Journal. Give that app a download, try it, send a prayer to a buddy, and just wait and see the impact that makes. But True Faith Journal as well on Instagram, Facebook, or see it on the App Store.
Love it, man. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Take a Step podcast. Just remember, wherever you are in your growth journey, every mile begins with a step. We'll talk to you all later.